I used to blame bad lighting for how tired my haircut made me look, and it took a stylist's honest comment to tell me the truth. It wasn't the lighting. It was the cut. Today I'm breaking down 3 haircuts that genuinely take years off a woman over 60, and 3 that quietly add them right back on, no matter how good your skincare routine is. We're talking about length, layers, and the one styling detail almost nobody mentions until it's too late. I researched the worst style and beauty mistakes and the best fixes for women over 50, so you get real results fast. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. I cover this every week. Part 1. The long layer that's quietly aging you. Here's something that surprised me the first time I heard it from a colorist with 30 years behind the chair. Long, blunt heavy hair past the shoulders doesn't read as youthful on a mature face. It reads as tired, because it pulls every bit of movement straight down along with the corners of your mouth and your eyes. I know you've been told long hair keeps you looking young forever. It's one of those ideas that gets repeated so often nobody stops to check if it's actually true anymore. If you're sitting here right now with hair past your collarbone that hasn't changed shape in a decade, this one's for you. And I promise this isn't a scolding. The recognition part is the hard part, so let's just say it plainly. When hair hangs uniformly long with no layering, gravity does something specific to a mature face. It elongates everything downward, drags at the jawline, and flattens the crown, which is exactly the opposite of what you want when volume at the top is what actually lifts your whole face. You've probably felt this without naming it, that sense of looking in the mirror and thinking you look more tired than you feel. That's not your imagination, and it's not your skin. It's the shape of the cut fighting against you every single day. The fix here is a face-framing long layer, cut to sit right around the chin to collarbone, with the heaviest layers starting just below the cheekbone. This isn't the same as chopping everything off. You keep the length if you love it, but you break up that solid, heavy block so movement happens naturally when you turn your head, laugh, or just walk into a room. A good stylist will also add internal layers you can't see from the front, which is where the real lift comes from. Ask specifically for face-framing layers starting at the cheekbone, rather than just some layers, because vague requests get vague results, and this is a detail worth being precise about. Here's what actually changes once those layers are in. The face-framing pieces catch light right at your cheekbones, which does something skincare products can't. It softens the transition between your jaw and your neck. People stop seeing long hair and start seeing your face first. That's the entire point. A friend of mine, Diane, kept her hair long for 15 years because she was terrified cutting it would age her. When she finally added these layers, her hairdresser didn't even shorten the length, just reshaped it, and the first thing her husband said wasn't "you got a haircut." It was "you look rested." That's the layer doing its job. The snapback moment worth sitting with is this. Softness at the jaw reads as youth far more reliably than length does. We've been taught that long hair equals young hair since we were teenagers, but on a mature face, movement and light are doing the actual work. Once you see a well-layered long cut next to a flat, blunt one, you can't unsee the difference, and it has nothing to do with how much hair either woman actually has. So here's the swap in plain terms. Before, it's flat, heavy length that pulls the whole face down and catches no light. After, it's the same length if you want it, but broken into face-framing layers starting at the cheekbone that move, lift, and soften everything from your jaw to your eyes. But length isn't actually the biggest culprit on this list. The next mistake is one I see constantly, and it's not about how long your hair is at all. It's about a single trim decision most women make without even thinking about it. And it might be the one quietly working against you right now. Part 2. The blunt fringe nobody warned you about. Let's talk about the fringe, because this is where I see the most damage done with the best intentions. A stylist trims a straight across, blunt fringe hoping to soften the forehead, and it does the opposite. It creates a hard horizontal line that sits like a shelf above the eyes. And on a mature face where the skin has naturally softened, that hard line looks jarring rather than youthful. You asked for softer, and you got harsher. It happens more than you'd think, and most women never connect the fringe to the problem. Recognizing this one is simple once you know what to look for. Stand at an angle in the mirror instead of straight on. If your fringe forms a flat, ruler straight line that doesn't move when you tilt your head, that's the blunt cut working against you. It draws the eye to one static line instead of letting your whole face be seen. And it tends to shorten your forehead visually in a way that reads older rather than younger, which is the opposite of the effect everyone's chasing. The fix is what stylists call a curtain fringe, pieces that part naturally down the middle or off to the side and blend into the rest of your layers rather than stopping in a hard line. The key detail is the ends. They should be feathered, not blunt, cut at a slight angle so individual pieces fall differently rather than as one solid mass. This takes a bit more time in the chair. Your stylist will likely point cut rather than blunt cut, snipping vertically into the ends instead of straight across, but the difference in how it photographs and how it moves is enormous. Ask for a soft curtain fringe with feathered, point-cut ends, so there's no ambiguity about what you're requesting. Here's the part that genuinely surprised me when I first learned it. A feathered curtain fringe doesn't just look softer. It changes how your eyes are read from across a room, because the pieces fall at different lengths instead of one flat line. There's no hard stopping point for the eye, so the whole upper part of your face reads as more open and more awake. Women tell me this is the fix that gets the most comments, not because anyone can articulate what changed, just that they say you look brighter without knowing why. That's the fringe doing exactly what it's supposed to do. There's a real result here worth naming directly. A blunt fringe can visually add years by creating shadow and hardness right at eye level. The first place anyone looks when they meet your gaze. Soften that one line and you've softened the first impression of your entire face, before a single word is spoken. The swap, stated plainly. Before, a flat, blunt fringe sitting like a hard shelf above the brows. After, a feathered curtain fringe with point cut ends that part naturally and move with you. Now there's a cut that does the opposite of everything we just covered. One that actually takes years off instantly. And it has nothing to do with length or fringe at all. It's about where the shortest layer sits, and almost nobody gets the placement right on the first try. Part 3. Why chin length layers are the real secret. I want to tell you about the cut that colorists quietly call the reset cut, because that's genuinely what it does to a face. It's a layered bob that hits right at the chin, with the very shortest pieces landing just below the ear. Most women assume shorter automatically means older on a mature face, and that assumption is exactly backwards. The chin length layer, done correctly, is one of the single most reliably youthful cuts that exists for women over 60, and almost nobody requests it by name because they've never heard it described this specifically. Here's the recognition moment, and it might sting a little. If you've been avoiding shorter cuts because you're worried they'll age you, you're not alone. That fear is incredibly common, but it usually comes from picturing the wrong kind of shortcut. A shortcut with no layering, no shape, all one uniform length, that can look severe. But that's not what we're talking about. The chin length layered cut is shaped, textured, and built with intention, and it behaves completely differently on your face than a flat, uniform short style ever would. The fix is specific, so let's get into exactly how it works. You want the layers to start at the cheekbone and taper down to the shortest point just under the ear, with the front pieces left slightly longer to frame the jaw. This shape does something remarkable. It draws the eye upward toward your cheekbones and eyes instead of downward toward the jaw and neck, which is precisely the opposite of what a long, heavy cut does. Ask your stylist for a graduated bob with layers tapering from the cheekbone to below the ear. And be specific about wanting the front pieces left a touch longer. That's the detail that keeps it soft rather than severe. The snapback result here is significant, and it's the reason I put this cut on the list at all. Because the eye is pulled upward toward your cheekbones instead of down toward your jawline. This cut visually lifts your entire face without a single needle or procedure involved. My Aunt Carol got this exact cut at 68 after wearing the same long style for over 20 years, and the first thing 3 separate people said to her that week wasn't "nice haircut." It was, "Did you do something different?" The kind of comment that means it worked on your whole face, not just your hair. There's something else worth naming. This cut also cuts styling time dramatically, because the layers create shape on their own without heavy blow drying or product. That's not the main reason to get it, but it's a real bonus that makes the cut easier to live with every single morning. The swap, stated directly. Before, a uniform, flat short cut with no layering that can look severe and heavy. After, a graduated bob with layers from cheekbone to below the ear, front pieces left longer. that lifts the whole face instead of weighing it down. There's one more cut on the avoid side of this list, and it's the one I get asked about more than any other, because it's marketed as the easiest low-maintenance option out there. It's actually doing the opposite of what the label promises. Part 4. The easy shortcut that's working against you. This one might be the most controversial item on the whole list, because it's a cut that gets recommended to mature women constantly as the wash-and-go solution. I'm talking about the very short, uniformly cropped pixie with no length variation anywhere, cut close all over with barely any difference between the crown and the sides. It's sold as effortless. What nobody mentions is what it does to the proportions of a mature face when there's zero length left to soften anything. Here's the part that's hard to hear but important to say plainly. When hair is cropped uniformly short with no textured length anywhere, there's nothing left to soften the transition between your hairline, your ears, and your jaw. On a younger face with more natural volume and less change in skin texture, this can look sharp and striking. On a mature face, it can expose more than it flatters, drawing attention to areas most of us would rather soften rather than spotlight. If you've gotten this cut because a magazine called it chic and easy, and left feeling like it aged you rather than freshened you, you weren't imagining it, and it wasn't really about your face at all. It was about the absence of any length to work with. The fix isn't to abandon short hair, it's to add textured length specifically at the crown and through the top, while keeping the sides shorter for shape. Think of it as a pixie with purpose, longer, piecewise layers on top that can be styled with movement, a slightly longer nape, and soft, textured pieces around the face rather than a uniform buzz-like crop. This gives your stylist something to actually work with, height at the crown that lifts, and soft pieces near the face that do the same job the curtain fringe does in part 2. Ask specifically for a textured pixie with longer layers on top and soft face framing pieces, which is a completely different request than just a short pixie. The result here is worth sitting with, because it contradicts what most of us have been told about short hair. Height and texture at the crown do for a short cut exactly what layers do for a long one. They create movement, catch light, and give the eye somewhere to travel instead of resting flat on one uniform surface. A pixie with real texture on top doesn't read as severe. It reads as intentional, styled, and current, 3 words that have nothing to do with age and everything to do with shape. My neighbor Pat switched from a uniform crop to this textured version last spring, and she told me it was the first haircut compliment she'd gotten in years that didn't include the word brave, which if you've ever had a short cut, you know exactly what that means. There's a quieter truth underneath all 4 of these cuts. Long or short doesn't determine whether a haircut ages you or not. Texture, movement, and where the layers actually sit does all the real work, every single time. So here's the final swap. Before, a uniform, cropped pixie with no length variation that can expose more than it flatters. After, a textured pixie with longer layers on top and soft face framing pieces that lift and soften at once. You now know exactly what separates a haircut that lifts your face from one that quietly works against it. And it's never really about length, it's about where the layers sit and how much movement they leave you with. That's the kind of thing a good stylist knows instinctively, and most of us never get told directly. Which one of these 6 surprised you the most, the long layers, the fringe, the chin-length bob, or the pixie? Tell me in the comments, I read every single one. Next week I'm covering the color mistakes that do the exact same aging trick, so you'll want to be here for that. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path, and I'll see you in the next one.